Why he doesn't feel safe even if he loves you, you might be wondering, if he loves me, why does he still feel distant? Why does he pull away right when I'm trying to get close? To understand this, we have to look at something that almost no relationship advice talks about. It isn't about his personality type, and it isn't about his commitment level. It is about biology. Specifically, it is about the mismatch between your nervous system and his. Imagine for a moment that a man's mind is like a pilot trying to land a plane. The world outside his job, his responsibilities, the pressure to provide and protect is a stormy sky. When he comes to you, he is looking for a runway. He is looking for the one place on earth where he can turn off the engines, stop scanning for danger, and finally rest. But here is the hard truth. Deeply anxious energy feels like static noise to a man. If you are constantly vibrating with a low-level hum of anxiety, worrying if he's mad, overanalyzing his texts, checking to see if his mood has shifted, you are not a runway. You are a storm. Even if you are not saying anything, he can feel it. Human beings are bioelectrical creatures. We broadcast our internal state louder than our words. When a woman is operating from a place of fear or insecurity, her energy is frantic. It projects a signal that says, I am not okay, so you cannot be okay. To a man, this doesn't feel like love. It feels like work. It feels like he has to manage your emotions before he can even begin to process his own. He might love you deeply. He might think you are the most beautiful woman in the world. But if your nervous system is constantly sounding an alarm, his nervous system cannot enter a state of rest. He will stay guarded not because he wants to hurt you, but because his instincts tell him it isn't safe to sleep in a room that feels like it's on fire. This is the first realization you must have if you want to be the first woman who truly holds him. Your anxiety is not just a feeling you have inside, it is an atmosphere you create outside. And for a man to truly fall into you, that atmosphere must shift from static noise to a deep, resonant silence. Fragile vase. Problem this brings us to the second reason why he doesn't feel safe enough to fully let go the fragile vase dynamic. There is a massive misconception in the modern world that for a woman to be feminine, she must be fragile. We are taught that being delicate means being valuable. And while there is immense beauty in vulnerability, there is a distinct difference between being open and being breakable. If a man feels that he has to constantly walk on eggshells around you, he will never give you his full weight. Think about it physically. Would you lean your full body weight against a wall made of thin glass? Of course not. You would hold yourself back. You would tense your muscles. You would stay on guard to make sure you didn't shatter the structure. This is exactly what happens emotionally in relationships. If he feels that one wrong word, one moment of forgetfulness, or one bad mood on his part is going to cause you to crumble into tears or spiral into self-doubt, he classifies you as fragile. He treats you like a porcelain vase. He might admire you, he might protect you, and he might even love you, but he will not be real with you. He cannot bring his clumsy, raw, unfiltered masculine truth to a woman he thinks he might break. When a man treats you like a fragile vase, he keeps his armor on, he edits his thoughts before he speaks. He hides his stress because he doesn't want to worry you. He hides his doubts because he doesn't want to scare you. This creates a wall of politeness that kills deep intimacy. He doesn't want a patient to take care of. He wants a partner who can handle the truth. He is craving a woman who is not made of porcelain, but of the earth. He wants to know that if he stumbles, or if he is having a hard day and isn't perfectly charming, you aren't going to collapse. To hold him, you must be unbreakable, not because you are hard and cold, but because your roots go so deep that his storms cannot knock you over. The collapse he craves. So if he doesn't want static noise and he doesn't want a fragile vase, what is he actually looking for? He is looking for the collapse. This is a secret that very few men will ever admit out loud, perhaps not even to their closest friends. But inside every strong, capable, high-achieving man is a desperate exhaustion. From the moment he wakes up, the world demands structure from him. He has to be the leader. He has to have the answers. He has to be the rock for his employees. His family and society is constantly holding up the sky. His deepest, most primal fantasy is not sexual. It is energetic. His fantasy is to find a woman whose energy is so vast and so sturdy that he can finally put the sky down for 10 minutes. He wants to take off the heavy armor of the king and just be a man. He wants to collapse into you. This isn't about him being weak. It is about him recharging his strength. But he can only collapse if he trusts that you can hold him. If you are frantic at the nervous system mismatch, or if you are breakable, the fragile vase, he knows he can never close his eyes. He has to stay awake to take care of you. But when he finds a woman who possesses the capacity to hold, a woman who is grounded, calm and vast like the ocean, he feels a biological signal that he has likely never felt before. It is the signal of true safety. It is the feeling of coming home. When you become the woman who can handle his collapse without panicking or trying to fix him, you become indispensable. You become the source of his rest, and a man will do absolutely anything to keep the woman who gives him peace. So how do you actually become this container? How do you stop the anxiety and become the ocean, defining the hold, what it actually looks like, the ocean viz, the boat, now that we understand why he needs to collapse? We have to define what it actually means to hold him, because holding is a word we use often, but very few of us actually understand the mechanics of it. It is not about hugging him until he feels better. It is not about coddling him. It is a state of being. To truly grasp this power, I want you to visualize a vast, endless ocean. The ocean is deep. It is ancient. It is heavy with salt and water. And on the surface of this ocean, there is a small boat. That boat represents your man. It represents his conscious mind, his daily battles, his logic and his ego. The weather around that boat changes constantly. Some days the sun is shining and he is happy and charming. Other days a storm rolls in, the wind howls, the rain lashes down and the waves get choppy. He might be stressed about money, angry at a coworker, or distant because he feels like a failure. The boat is rocking violently. Most women, when they see the boat rocking, panic. They try to climb into the boat with him to help him steer. They start screaming instructions. Watch out for that wave! Why are you steering like that? Let me fix the sail. Or they get terrified that the boat is going to sink, so they start crying and screaming, adding to the chaos. But the woman who knows how to hold does not climb into the boat. She realizes that she is not the boat. She is the ocean. The ocean does not fear the storm on the surface. Why? Because the storm only affects the top 10 feet of the water. Deep down 100 feet below the surface, the ocean is completely still. It is silent. It is unshakable. The ocean holds the boat simply by being the vast, deep substance underneath it. It supports the boat regardless of whether the weather is good or bad. When you embody this ocean energy, you stop reacting to his surface level storms. If he comes home grumpy, you don't take it personally. You don't ask, "Are you mad at me?" You don't try to fix the weather. You simply remain deep. You remain vast. You offer him a depth that is so profound that eventually his storm runs out of energy and he settles back into your calm. You are the container for his experience, not the manager of it. Presence without solution. This brings us to one of the hardest habits to break, especially for high-achieving, intelligent women, the addiction to fixing. In our modern world, we are taught that value comes from doing. If there is a problem, we solve it. If there is a question, we answer it. So when the man we love is hurting or stressed or quiet, our fixer instinct kicks in. We want to be useful. We say things like, "Have you tried talking to your boss about it? Maybe you should just take a day off. Why don't we look at the budget together right now?" We think this is support. We think this is love. But to the masculine soul, this often feels like mothering, or worse. It feels like coaching. When you jump in with solutions, you are unknowingly stepping into his polarity. You are meeting his masculine stress with your own masculine logic. This creates a clash. Instead of offering him a place to rest, you are offering him a strategy meeting. And believe me, the last thing a tired man wants when he comes home is another strategy meeting. Holding him means offering presence without solution. It is the discipline of witnessing his struggle without trying to take it away from him. This is incredibly difficult because it requires you to tolerate your own discomfort. It is painful to watch someone we love struggle. We want to stop the pain, but when you rush to fix it, you are robbing him of his own process. Holding looks like sitting next to him while he stares at the ceiling. It looks like bringing him a glass of water, placing a hand on his back, and saying absolutely nothing. It looks like listening to him vent about his day and instead of offering advice, simply saying, "I hear you. That sounds incredibly heavy." You are not there to repair the boat. You are there to be the water. When you strip away the advice, the coaching, and the solutions, what is left? Your warmth, your breathing, your belief in him. And paradoxically, when you stop trying to fix him, he often fixes himself much faster. He feels the safety of your presence, his nervous system down, regulates his brain, fog clears, and he finds his own answer. He didn't need your solution. He needed your sanity, the energetic container. We have talked about the metaphor of the ocean and the behavior of not fixing. Now, I want to talk about the feeling of holding. I want to talk about becoming an energetic container. Have you ever walked into a cathedral or a vast empty temple? The moment you walk in, you feel different. The air feels thicker yet clearer. It is quiet. It feels like there is space for you to think, to breathe, to just be. The building isn't doing anything to you. It's simply holding space. It is a container. To be the first woman who can truly hold him, you must cultivate this sense of spaciousness inside your own body. Most of us are walking around with zero internal space. We are full of our own clutter, our to-do lists, our insecurities, our judgments, our replay of yesterday's argument. When we are full of our own noise, there is no room for him. If he tries to dump his stress onto us, it spills over because our cup is already full. We snap at him or we crumble because we physically cannot hold any more tension. Becoming a container means you learn to expand your internal capacity. It is an energetic practice of widening your spirit. When he brings his chaos to you, his anger, his fear, his confusion, you visualize yourself not as a solid wall that the chaos hits, but as a vast open sky. You let his energy pass through you. You don't grab it, you don't analyze it, you don't let it stick to you. You imagine that you are creating a void or sanctuary where his chaos can enter and dissolve. Think of it like this: if you drop a drop of red dye into a tiny shot glass of water, the whole glass turns red. The water is overwhelming. But if you drop that same drop of red dye into the ocean doesn't change color. The ocean is too big. The dye disperses and vanishes. When you work on your own spaciousness through breath, through grounding, through your own self-work, you become that ocean. He can come to you with his red dye, say his bad moods, and you don't turn red. You don't become angry just because he is angry. You stay clear. You stay vast. This is what makes a man look at a woman with awe. He realizes that his darkness cannot corrupt her light, and that is the safest feeling in the world. Anxious mother, mothering viz holding. Now we arrive at a very delicate yet absolutely critical distinction. We have to talk about the difference between holding him and mothering him. I know that word mothering can feel triggering. None of us want to believe we are acting like a mother to our romantic partner. But in the world of energy, the line is very thin, and most well-intentioned women cross it without even realizing it. We are biologically wired to nurture. When we see something vulnerable, we want to care for it. But when you apply maternal energy to a grown man, you accidentally kill the polarity of desire. You cannot sleep with your mother, and he cannot feel sexual desire for a woman who is constantly checking if he has his keys, if he ate lunch, or if he is okay. Here is the fundamental difference. Mothering comes from a place of worry. Holding comes from a place of trust. When you mother a man, the underlying energetic message you are sending is, I don't think you can handle this on your own, so I will help you. You might think you are being loving by reminding him of his dentist appointment or asking him 5 times what's wrong because he looks tired. But to a man, this energy feels suffocating. It feels like you doubt his competence. Holding, on the other hand, is a completely different frequency. When you hold space, you see him struggling, but you do not intervene. You treat him as a sovereign adult who is capable of solving his own problems. Think of it like this: if you are cold and you try to force him to wear a sweater, that is mothering. You are projecting your discomfort onto him. But if you simply keep the house warm and let him decide if he wants to put on a sweater, that is holding. The woman who holds him allows him the dignity of his own struggle. She doesn't rush to wipe his nose. She stands beside him, radiating a quiet confidence that says, I know you will figure this out. That shift from worrying about him to witnessing him is the moment you stop being his caretaker and start being his queen. Releasing the need to control. Why is it so hard to stop mothering? Why do we feel that compulsion to ask, are you mad? Or what are you thinking? Or to try to cheer him up the second he frowns? It isn't actually because we care so much about his happiness. If we are being brutally honest, it is because we are trying to control our own environment. Many of us have a subconscious belief that says, if he is happy, then I'm safe. But if he is moody, distant, or stressed, then I am unsafe. Because of this belief, we try to micromanage his emotional state. We try to control his mood so that we don't have to feel the anxiety of his distance. We try to fix his bad day so that we can get back to the version of him that pays attention to us. This is control disguised as love. But here is the paradox of the masculine soul. The more you try to control him, the more he will pull away. A man is fiercely protective of his freedom. If he senses that you are trying to manipulate his mood, even if you are trying to manipulate it into happiness, he will resist you. He will calm down. He will withdraw into his cave because he feels the strings of your anxiety trying to pull him. To hold him, you must release the need to control the weather. You must become comfortable with the fact that sometimes he is just going to be grumpy. Sometimes he is going to be quiet for 3 hours. Sometimes he is going to be stressed about work and not want to talk. And here is the magic: when you let him be grumpy without punishing him for it, without trying to fix it, and without making it about you, he comes back. And usually he comes back much faster than if you had pestered him. He realizes, wait, she isn't trying to change me. She accepts me even when I'm not performing. That freedom is addictive. By releasing control, you gain influence. By letting him go, you make him want to stay. The trust signal, ultimately deconditioning the anxious mother, comes down to one powerful concept, the trust signal. Men run on respect. In the hierarchy of masculine needs, respect is often placed even higher than love. A man can love a woman who doesn't respect him, but he can never truly open his heart to her. He will always keep a part of himself locked away. When you are constantly worrying, anxious, and hovering, you are broadcasting a lack of trust signal. You are signaling that you don't believe he is strong enough to handle his life. But when you sit back, when you lean into your own feminine stillness and let him handle his chaos, you are broadcasting a massive trust signal. You are saying, without words, I chose a king. And I know a king can handle a storm. I don't need to save you. This is the ultimate form of respect. It feeds his masculine spirit. When he feels that you trust him to handle his business, whether that business is his career, his emotions, or a conflict, he naturally stands taller. He wants to live up to the image you hold of him. If you treat him like a child who needs help, he will act like a child. If you treat him like a man who can endure, he will rise as a man. Holding is the act of holding the vision of his greatness, even when he is currently in the mud. It is refusing to panic just because he is stumbling, because you know that the man you chose is capable of getting back up. And when he does get back up, the first person he will look for is the woman who didn't lose faith in him. The art of emotional Aikido technique. When he lashes out or withdraws, we have talked about the philosophy of holding. Now, we need to talk about the technique, because when you are in the heat of the moment, when he just snapped at you for no reason, or when he has gone cold and locked himself in his office, philosophy flies out the window. You need a tool. I call this tool emotional Aikido. Aikido is a martial art that does not rely on blocking an attack. If someone punches at you, you don't stand there and take the hit, nor do you punch back. You simply step aside and let their energy flow past you. You remain balanced while their momentum carries them away. In relationships, the hold works exactly the same way. When a man is stressed or in his shadow, he will often do one of two things. He will lash out, projecting his anger outward, or he will withdraw, imploding his anger inward. If he lashes out, perhaps he makes a snarky comment or complains about the house being messy, your instinct is to become a solid wall. You tense up, you absorb the hit. You say, "How dare you speak to me like that?" Now, you are in a fight. You have absorbed his poison. To hold him using emotional Aikido, you must visualize yourself becoming transparent. Imagine that his words or his bad energy are like a gust of wind, and you are a tree with space between your branches. The wind blows through the branches. The tree feels the wind, but it does not catch the wind. It does not break. When he is moody, instead of thinking, "He is attacking me," I want you to think, "He is releasing energy." If he is withdrawing, do not try to pull him back. That is the equivalent of chasing someone who is running away. It only makes them run faster. Instead, stand your ground. Let him have his distance. Imagine that his silence is just a cloud passing through your sky. By not reacting defensively to his bad mood, you stop the cycle of escalation. You create a pattern interrupt. He expects you to fight or to cry. When you do neither, when you simply breathe and let his energy pass through you, he is forced to sit with his own behavior. And very quickly, he realizes that he is fighting with himself, not with you. The soft belly, breath. So how do you actually stay calm enough to do that? How do you stop yourself from reacting when your heart is pounding? The secret lies in your body. Specifically, it lies in your belly. Most women walk around with a chronic tightness in their lower abdomen. We hold tension there because we are protecting our most vulnerable organs, our womb space, our intuition. When we feel unsafe in a relationship, when we sense he is pulling away, that muscle tightens into a rock. Here is the science of connection. The most powerful nervous system in the room dictates the energy of the room. If your belly is tight, your breathing becomes shallow. This sends a signal to your brain that you are in danger. And because humans co-regulate, his brain subconsciously picks up on your tension. He looks at you and sees a threat. Even if you are smiling, he feels your armor, so he keeps his armor on. To hold him, you must learn the technique of the soft belly breath. When you feel the tension rising in the room, I want you to physically drop your awareness into your lower abdomen. Intentionally unclench those muscles. Let your belly become soft, round, and loose. Then take a breath that expands your stomach outward, not your chest. This sends an immediate signal to your vagus nerve to switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. But it does something even more magical to him. When a woman softens her front, when she exposes her soft belly emotionally and energetically, it triggers a biological instinct in a man. It signals that there is no predator in the room. It signals safety. You cannot force him to relax by telling him to calm down. That never works, but you can seduce his nervous system into relaxation by relaxing your own. Next time he is pacing around or stressed or silent, don't say a word. Just sit nearby, soften your belly. Breathe deeply and slowly. Anchor yourself in your own softness. You will be amazed to watch how within minutes, his shoulders will drop. His breathing will match yours. He will gravitate toward you like a magnet because your body is broadcasting the frequency of peace that he is starving for. Verbal scripts for holding. We have covered the mindset and the body. Now let's talk about the words. When we are nervous, we tend to overtalk. We fill the silence because silence feels dangerous, but holding is mostly a non-verbal art. However, there are times when you need to speak to bridge the gap. The goal of your words should never be to fix, to investigate, or to demand. The goal is simply to establish presence. Here are 3 scripts you can use when he is struggling, which will shift the energy instantly. Script 1 in the "I'm here" statement. When he is clearly upset but won't talk, do not ask what's wrong repeatedly. Instead, simply say, "I can see you're carrying a heavy load today. I'm just going to be over here reading my book." but I'm here if you want to unload, then, and this is the key, go back to your book. This phrase tells him, I see you validation. I am not afraid of your mood as safety, and I am not demanding anything from you, freedom. Script to end that no rush, permission. If he is trying to explain something and stumbling, or if he is hesitant to open up, we often rush to fill the gap. Instead, say, take your time. There is no rush. I'm listening. This simple phrase removes the pressure of performance. It tells him that you are a container with infinite time. It slows down his panic and allows him to access his deeper truth. Script 3 is the confidence reassurance. If he is venting about a problem at work or a failure, do not offer advice. Wait until he is done. Look him in the eye and say, that sounds incredibly frustrating, but I know who you are, and I trust you to handle it. This is the ultimate holding phrase. It validates the pain, but affirms the power. It reminds him that you see him as a king, even when he feels like a pauper. Notice that none of these scripts are long. None of them are emotional dumps. They are short, grounded, and spacious. They are the verbal equivalent of a hand on the shoulder. They define the space, and then they leave it open for him to step into whenever he is ready. The shadow test, can you handle his darkness? The shame of the masculine, we are now entering the deepest waters of the masculine soul. If you have mastered the art of slowing down and you have stopped trying to fix him, eventually you will arrive at the gate of his greatest fear, his shadow. Society teaches us that men are simple creatures who want food, sex, and peace. But the internal landscape of a man is often a place of immense pressure and hidden shame. From the time he was a little boy, he was likely told directly or indirectly that his value comes from his strength. He was told that his tears are useless, his fears are unattractive, and his darkness must be hidden. So he learns to perform. He presents you with golden boy. He shows you the protector, the provider, the confident lover. This is the version of him that he thinks earns your love. But underneath that armor, there is a shadow self. This is the part of him that feels weak, the part of him that has perverse thoughts, the part of him that feels like a failure even when he is succeeding, the part of him that is terrified he has no idea what he is doing. His deepest unspoken fear is that if you, the woman he adores, were to see this shadow, you would be disgusted. He fears that your love is conditional on his performance. He believes that if he put down the shield and showed you his insecurities, you would lose attraction to him. This creates a painful distance. He gives you his body, he gives you his wallet, but he withholds his soul because he doesn't believe his soul is safe to show. To hold him means you must be willing to hold the parts of him that are not pretty. You cannot just be the fan of his victory. You must be the sanctuary for his shame. If you only love him when he is winning, he will never trust you with his life. He will only trust you with his trophy. But if you can signal to him that you are not afraid of his darkness, that you know it exists and you love him anyway, you unlock a level of devotion that most men die without ever giving to a woman. You become the witness to his humanity, not just the audience for his show, not flinching. So how does a man reveal this shadow? He usually doesn't sit you down and give a speech. He tests you. This is what I call the flinch test. At some point in your relationship, he will let the mask slip. He might confess a dark desire in the bedroom. He might admit to a failure at work that makes him look incompetent. He might act in a way that is petty, jealous, or seemingly unmasculine. Or he might just break down and cry in a way that looks ugly and messy. And in that split second, he is watching you. He is watching your micro expressions. He is waiting for the flinch. The flinch is that tiny moment where you recoil. It's the look of judgment in your eyes. It's the subtle pulling away of your body. It's the nervous laugh because you are uncomfortable. If you flinch, the door slams shut. His internal computer registers unsafe. She wants the hero, not the man. Put the armor back on. But if you want to be the first woman to hold him, you must not flinch. When he reveals something ugly, you must stay structurally sound. You look him in the eye with steady, soft curiosity. You don't gasp. You don't try to correct him. You don't say, that's weird. You stay in the pocket. You treat his darkness like it is just another part of the weather. If he confesses a fear, you hold his gaze and say, tell me more. If he acts weak, you don't panic. You lean in. You communicate to him through your lack of reaction that there is nothing he can show you that will make you run away. This requires you to have a stomach for reality. It requires you to drop your Disney fantasies of Prince Charming and accept the complex, messy human being in front of you. When he realizes you didn't flinch, he exhales a breath he has been holding since he was a child. He realizes he doesn't have to perform for you. And that is the moment he becomes yours forever. The alchemy of acceptance. Here is the most beautiful paradox of holding acceptance is the catalyst for transformation. Many women fear that if they accept his bad behavior or his weakness, they are enabling it. They think, if I don't judge him for being lazy, fearful, angry, he will stay that way. But psychology and the masculine soul works in the exact opposite way. Shame is a paralyzing agent. When a man feels ashamed of his weakness, he hides it and it festers. It grows in the dark. A man who feels judged for his anger becomes angrier. A man who feels judged for his fear becomes more paralyzed. But when you apply the alchemy of radical acceptance, when you hold his darkness without trying to change it, shame dissolves. And when shame dissolves, the energy that was stuck begins to move. I have seen this happen time and time again. A man confesses he feels like a failure. His woman holds him and says, I see you. And I love you exactly as you are right now. She doesn't try to pump him up. She just accepts him in the pit because he feels heard and accepted. He stops fighting himself. He rests. And from that rest, his natural masculine drive re-emerges. He wakes up the next morning wanting to conquer the world, not because she nagged him, but because she loved him when he had nothing. This is alchemy. You cannot hate a man for his potential. You cannot critique him into being a king. You can only love him so deeply and hold him so safely that he feels brave enough to rise into his own potential. You are the soil. If the soil is rich and accepting, the seed will grow. If the soil is toxic and judgmental, the seed will die. Be the rich soil. Hold him in his lowest moment, and I promise you, you will be the one standing next to him in his highest moment. Cultivating your own internal pillars. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Up until this point, we have focused almost entirely on him. We have talked about his nervous system, his shadow, and his need for safety. But now we must turn the mirror around, because there is a very dangerous trap that women fall into when they learn about holding. They think, okay, I need to be the ocean. I need to be a strong container. I need to be endlessly available, endlessly patient, and endlessly absorbing. If you try to do this while you are depleted, you will not hold him. You will break. Holding space for another human being, especially a masculine partner with strong energy, is heavy work. It requires structural integrity. Think about a bridge. A bridge can only hold the weight of the cars driving over it because its own pillars are driven deep into the bedrock. If the pillars are weak, or if the concrete is cracking, the moment a heavy truck drives over, the bridge collapses. You cannot be the sanctuary for him if you are abandoning yourself. Many of us are conditioned to think that love means self-sacrifice. We give until we are dry. We skip our gym class to listen to him vent. We stay up late when we are exhausted because he wants company. We let our own needs wither away because we are so focused on being there for him. But here's the reality check: a depleted woman is not safe. When you are exhausted, your patience wears thin. Your nervous system becomes brittle. You lose the ability to be the ocean, and you become a puddle, muddy, shallow, and easily agitated. When you are running on empty, you naturally start to resent him. You start thinking, I do everything for you, and what do I get? And that resentment poisons the safety you are trying to build. To be the first woman capable of holding him, your self-care is not a luxury. It is a strategic necessity. You must be full of your own joy, your own rest, and your own life force. You must treat your energy like a precious resource, because only when your cup is overflowing can you offer him a drink without depleting yourself. Emotional autonomy, this brings us to the concept of emotional autonomy. In many relationships, there is a hidden, unspoken contract. The woman silently says to the man, it is your job to make me happy, and if I am sad, it is your job to fix it. This places a massive, invisible burden on the man. He feels like he is walking around carrying a backpack full of your emotions. He feels like he is constantly all the clock as your emotional maintenance worker. This is exhausting for him. And when he is exhausted by your needs, he cannot rest in your presence. The most magnetic, powerful thing you can do is to relieve him of this job. Emotional autonomy means that you take full responsibility for your own internal state. It means that your happiness is not dependent on his mood. Imagine a lighthouse. The lighthouse stands on the rock. It shines its light. It does not ask the boats, am I shining bright enough? Do you like my light? Are you okay? It just shines. If the ocean is calm, the lighthouse shines. If the storm is raging, the lighthouse shines. Its stability comes from within, not from the environment. When you become a woman who knows how to make herself happy, who has her own passions, her own friends, her own connection to the divine, you become that lighthouse. This is incredibly sexy to a man. When he realizes, wait, she's okay, she's happy reading her book, she's happy gardening. She doesn't need me to entertain her or validate her right now. He feels a massive weight lift off his shoulders. He feels free. And in that freedom, he curiously starts to move towards you. He wants to be near the light. By reclaiming your own happiness, you stop being a beggar for his attention and you become a queen on her throne. You are inviting him to join you in your joy rather than demanding he manufacture it for you. This shift from dependency to autonomy is the foundation of the whole grounding rituals. So how do you build these pillars? How do you actually become this lighthouse in a practical daily sense? You need grounding rituals. You need practices that increase your gravity. When a woman has low gravity, she is flighty. One text message can ruin a day. One bad look from him can send her spiraling. She is like a leaf in the wind. But a woman with high gravity is rooted. She is weight. To build this weight, you must connect with your senses and the earth. One nature immersion, the feminine energy is elemental. It is connected to the earth. When you feel flighty or anxious, go outside. Put your bare feet on the grass, sit against a tree. Sounds simple, but it is bioenergetic physics. You are discharging your static anxiety into the earth. You cannot hold a man if you are stuck in your head. You must be in your body. 2, solitude, you need time where you belong only to yourself. Take 20 minutes a day where you are not a girlfriend, not a mother, not an employee. You are just a soul. Take a bath, meditate, journal, recalibrate your own frequency so that you know who you are before you interact with him. 3, sensory pleasure. Fill your own tank with beauty. Wear fabrics that feel good on your skin. Burn oils that smell divine. Eat food that nourishes you. When your body feels pleasured and safe, your nervous system naturally becomes that ocean we talked about. These rituals are not selfish indulgences. They are the training ground. They are how you build the internal muscle required to hold the weight of a masculine man. When you are grounded, he can lean on you and you won't fall over. That is the goal. The first energy, why this makes you unforgettable, the ghost of ex-girlfriends past. One of the most painful things we do as women is compare ourselves to the ghosts of his past. You might look at an ex-girlfriend and think she was prettier or she was more successful or she was younger. You wonder if he still thinks about her. You wonder if you measure up. But I want to give you a piece of psychological truth that will dismantle that insecurity forever. Men do not stay with the woman who looks the best. They stay with the woman who feels the best. When a man looks back at his relationship history, he usually categorizes women into 2 energetic archetypes, the damsels and the dragons. The damsels were the women who needed him to save them constantly. They were chaotic, emotionally fragile, and draining. Initially, this might have made him feel like a hero, but eventually he became exhausted. He felt like a caretaker, not a partner. The dragons were the women who challenged him constantly in a combative way. They were critical, demanding, and sharp. They might have been successful and smart, but they made him feel inadequate. They made him feel like he was constantly at war in his own home. Most men have spent their entire dating lives oscillating between these 2 extremes, between being drained by a damsel or attacked by a dragon. Then he meets you. If you master the art of holding, you enter a 3rd category that is so rare, most men have never experienced it. You are the sanctuary. You are not asking him to save you, damsel. And you are not trying to fight him, dragon. You are simply there. You are the solid ground. You are a deep breath. When you embody this energy, the ghosts of his exes vanish. It doesn't matter if they had perfect bodies or high-powered careers. If they didn't make his nervous system feel safe, they are not competition for you. They were lessons. You are the destination. He might have had fun with them, but he can't live with them. The human animal will always gravitate toward the source of its peace. By being the sanctuary, you render every other woman in his past obsolete because you are providing the one nutrient he has been starving for his entire life, true, deep, unshakable acceptance. You become the first because energetically you are the first, rewiring his attachment. What happens inside a man's brain when he finally finds this sanctuary? We need to talk about attachment rewiring. Many men carry a subtle or not so subtle form of relationship trauma. Perhaps he had a critical mother or a chaotic childhood, or a series of volatile relationships. Because of this, his brain has likely wired a connection that says love or stress. He expects the other shoe to drop. He expects that if he gets too close, he will be engulfed or criticized. This is why he keeps his guard up. His neural pathways are literally predicted to expect pain. When you start holding him, when you remain in the ocean during his storms, you interrupt this pattern. He acts out expecting a fight, and you give him peace. He withdraws expecting you to chase, and you give him space. He shows his shadow expecting judgment, and you give him acceptance. At first, this confuses him, but over time, it begins to rewire his brain. You are teaching his nervous system a new language. You are breaking the link between love and stress and creating a new link, love, a safety. This is a biological process. When he is with you, his cortisol stress hormone drops and his oxytocin bonding hormone rises. He physically starts to associate your scent, your voice, and your presence with the feeling of regulation. This is why he starts to crave you when he is away. It's not just that he misses your personality. His body misses the regulation you provide. He feels off without you. He feels like he can't breathe as deeply. You are not just his girlfriend anymore. You are his medicine. This is the deepest form of human bonding. It transcends logical reasons for being together. He can't logic his way out of this relationship because his body knows that you are the only place where he feels truly aligned. You have rewired his definition of home, and home now has your name on it. The addiction to safety. This leads us to the final result of this energy, the addiction to safety. There is a misconception in the dating world that safety is boring. We hear that nice guys finish last, or that men crave danger and excitement. While men might crave excitement for a night, crave safety for a lifetime. To the masculine spirit, safety is not boring. It is oxygen. A man cannot build his empire. He cannot go out and fight the dragons of the world. If he has to come home and fight a dragon in his living room, he needs a base. He needs a fortress. When you become that fortress, you become his most valuable asset. This is often the secret key to commitment. Women often ask, how do I get him to propose? How do I get him to commit? They try to use ultimatums or hints. But true commitment is not something you drag out of a man. True commitment is a man locking the door because he realizes he has something inside that he cannot afford to lose. When he realizes that you are the only woman who can hold his weight, who can handle his shadow, and who brings his nervous system to zero, he becomes terrified of losing you. Not in a toxic way, but in a primal way. He realizes that if you leave, he loses his peace, he loses his sanctuary. He commits to you not because you pressured him, but because he wants to secure his access to the energy you provide. He wants to put a ring around the sanctuary to tell the world, this is my home. Do not touch it. Safety is the ultimate aphrodisiac for the masculine. It is the thing that makes him lay down his sword. It is the thing that makes him stay. By holding him, you are not just being nice, you are making yourself the most addictive, necessary, and irreplaceable presence in his life. You are securing your place as the queen by simply being the one woman who allows him to be the king. Advanced magnetism, the silent communication, the eyes and the touch, we are now moving into the advanced level of this practice. This is where the hold moves from a mindset into a physical reality. It is where your body begins to communicate with his body without a single word being spoken. The two most powerful transmitters of feminine energy are your eyes and your hands, but most of us are using them incorrectly. We use them to take rather than to give. Let's start with the eyes. When a woman is anxious or insecure, her gaze becomes what I call the detective. She looks at him with a sharp, scanning intensity. She is searching his face for micro expressions of anger or distance. She is looking at him, trying to extract information. This gaze feels piercing to a man. It feels like an interrogation. It puts his defenses up immediately. To hold him, you must soften your gaze. In Eastern traditions, this is often called soft eyes. You relax the muscles around your eyelids. You stop trying to pierce him, and instead you allow your eyes to become pools that receive him. When you look at him with soft eyes, you are telling his nervous system, I see you. I accept you. You are safe here. It is a look of deep, ancient recognition. Then there is the touch. There is a massive difference between grasping and grounding. When we feel him pulling away, our instinct is to grab his hand or cling to his arm. We are physically trying to pull him back to us. This is grasping, and it signals neediness. It repels him. Grounding, however, is the touch of the ocean. It is placing a flat, warm hand on the center of his back or his chest and just leaving it there. You are not rubbing. You are not pulling. You are not asking for a reaction. You are simply transferring your calm into his body. You are saying through your hand, I am here. I am solid. This kind of touch is electric. It bypasses his logical brain and goes straight to his gut. When you master the art of the soft eye and the grounding hand, you can stop a fight or dissolve his stress in seconds simply by transmitting your stillness directly into his skin. Holding him in freedom, now we arrive at the great paradox of deep intimacy. To hold him forever, you must hold him loosely. This is the hardest concept for the feminine heart to accept because our biological imperative is to gather and keep close the things we love. When we love a man, we want him close. When he drifts into his work, into his hobbies, or into his cave, we feel a spike of panic. We want to tighten our grip to ensure he doesn't float away. But the masculine soul is driven by freedom. The moment he feels a cage closing around him, even if it is a cage made of love and niceness, he will fight to escape. He will revolt. Holding him does not mean tackling him and pinning him to the ground. It means being the gravity that ensures he always returns. Think of a falconer. The falconer lets the bird fly. He watches it soar high into the sky, often disappearing from view. He does not tie a string to its leg. He trusts that because he is the source of food and safety, the bird will return. If you try to hold a man by checking his phone, demanding his time, or guilt-tripping him when he goes out with his friends, you are tying a string to his leg. You might keep his body in the room, but his spirit will be miles away, resenting you. Holding him in freedom means you become the dock, not the anchor. An anchor drags him down and stops him from moving. A dock is a solid place where he can park his ship, rest, refuel, and then go back out to sea. And because the dock is so reliable, he always comes back to it. When he says, I need some space, or I'm going to go do my own thing, the woman who knows how to hold him does not panic. She opens her hand. She smiles. She says, go, enjoy. This confuses him in the best possible way. He expects resistance. When you give him freedom, you prove that you are not afraid. You prove that you are secure. And paradoxically, that freedom makes him miss you faster. He leaves, he feels the coldness of the world, and he realizes, I want to go back to the warmth, the vibrational shift. When you combine all of these elements, the soft eyes, the grounding touch, and the gift of freedom, something miraculous happens in the relationship. The entire vibration shifts. You move out of the transactional phase and into the flow state, Most relationships are transactional. I do this for you, so you should do this for me. I listen to you, so now you have to listen to me. It is a constant negotiation of needs. It is exhausting. It is low frequency. But when you become the container, when you become the first woman who can truly hold him, the transaction dissolves. You enter a state of energetic resonance. It becomes a dance. You don't have to try to fix him anymore. Your presence alone regulates him. He doesn't have to try to make you feel safe. His devotion naturally deepens because he feels so seen by you. The silence between you stops feeling empty and starts feeling full. You can sit in a car together for 2 hours saying absolutely nothing and feel more connected than most couples do after talking all night. This is the hum of a high-functioning union. It is a feeling of deep vibrational rest. You stop being two people fighting for resources, love, attention, validation, and you become one ecosystem. You feed him peace, he feeds you protection. You hold his vulnerability, he holds your heart. This is the destination. This is why we do the work. It isn't just to get the guy. It is to experience the profound spiritual satisfaction of being seen, known, and held in return. Because the beautiful secret is this: the better you get at holding him, the better he becomes at holding you. Becoming the muse summary of the transformation, we have been on a long journey together in this video. We have traveled from the surface level anxiety of wondering, why is he pulling away, to the deep oceanic truth of what actually creates a lifelong bond. I want you to take a moment and feel the shift in your own understanding. You started this video perhaps feeling like you had to dope something to get him to love you. You felt you had to perform to fix him or to be perfect. But now you know the secret that so few women ever discover: the power is not in the doing. The power is in the holding. We learned that his distance is often just a nervous system mismatch. He isn't running from you, he is running from static noise. We learned that he is craving the collapse, the ability to put down his armor and rest in your presence. We learned that you are not the boat being tossed around by his moods. You are the ocean that holds the boat. We learned to stop mothering out of fear and start holding out of trust. And we learned that by facing his shadow without flinching, you become the only woman in the world who truly knows him. You are no longer the anxious girl waiting by the phone. You are the sanctuary. You have moved from casing the ship to being the sea. And the ship always returns to the sea. The final invitation, I know that some of this might feel intimidating. You might be thinking, but I'm not always calm. I have my own anxiety. I'm not an ocean every day. That is okay. You are human. Holding is not about being a robot who has no feelings. It is a practice. It is an intention. It is simply the willingness to return to your center again and again. But I want to remind you of something very important: this capacity to hold. It is not something you have to go out and buy. It is not a skill you need to learn from a textbook. It is already encoded in your DNA. The feminine energy is the container of life. It is the womb. It is the earth. It is the void from which everything is created. You are built to hold. You are built to endure. You are built to transmute chaos into peace. You don't need to become someone else to do this. You just need to remember who you are. You need to drop the frantic conditioning of the modern world and settle back into your ancient, slow, magnetic nature. When you do that, you become more than just a girlfriend or a wife. You become a muse. You become the source of inspiration that breathes life into his world. The call to action, soft and relational. As we close this space today, I want to invite you to make a declaration. There is power in words. There is power in claiming your identity. If you are ready to stop chasing and start holding, if you are ready to be the sanctuary that he said and you have been waiting for, I want you to claim it right now. Go down to the comments section and simply write the phrase, "I am the ocean." Let that be your mantra. Let that be the signal to your own subconscious that you are done with the shallow waters of insecurity. You are deep, you are vast, you are safe. And if this video spoke to your soul, if it gave you a language for feelings you've had for years, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of women here who are reclaiming the true power of feminine dynamics, not through manipulation, but through depth. You have the power to hold him. But more importantly, you have the power to hold yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Stay magnetic.